Day 3 of the Iranian port blockade. Northern Arabian Sea, 0347 local time. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb stands at the CIWS console aboard USS Preble and watches a number he has been watching for 6 hours drop below 30%. 30% ammunition remaining. Third drone engagement since midnight. And the fourth wave is already on radar. 12 contacts. Bearing 270. Range, 11 nautical miles and closing. Webb has one option left on his board. He has never used it in combat. Neither has anyone else. We will come back to Lieutenant Commander Webb and what he activated in the next 40 seconds. But to understand why that decision reshaped the entire U.S. Navy directed energy program, you need to know what happened 14 months earlier and what the Helios system was never actually designed to do. The high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance, Helios, is a 60-kilowatt solid-state fiber laser mounted aboard Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. NAVSEA contracted Lockheed Martin for the system in 2018. First installation, USS Preble, DDG-88, commissioned to the Pacific Fleet and later repositioned to 5th Fleet operational area in late 2025. The system was built for 2 mission sets: disabling UAVs at close range and dazzling the optical sensors of small surface craft. 60 kilowatts. Effective range against a standard Group 2 UAV, officially undisclosed, but analysts at CSBA estimate between 1 and 3 nautical miles depending on atmospheric conditions. That matters because the drones Iran deployed in the Strait in 2026 were not Group 2 UAVs. What Iran flew at USS Preble were Shahed 238 variants, jet-propelled, not propeller-driven, with reinforced airframes and decentralized swarm coordination software. Speed, approximately 350 knots, nearly twice the speed of the Shahed 136 that struck Ukrainian targets in 2023. Radar cross-section, small enough that Preble's AN/SPY-6 radar acquired them at ranges giving the crew between 4 and 7 minutes of engagement time per wave. 7 minutes is workable for a CIWS. 7 minutes across 12 simultaneous contacts on the third engagement of the night with ammunition at 30%. That is a different calculation entirely. Here is what most people miss about directed energy combat. The laser has no ammunition counter. That was the single most important operational fact Webb understood when he turned to his console at 0347. The physics do not care about sortie rate. The constraint is not rounds. It is dwell time and atmospheric propagation. Dwell time is how long the beam must stay on a target to achieve a kill, or more precisely, a mission kill. At 60 kilowatts against a Shahed 238 airframe, NAVSEA's unclassified modeling puts required dwell time between 3 and 8 seconds, depending on aspect angle and target material. At 350 knots closure speed, the engagement window becomes a geometry problem. The laser must track, acquire, dwell, confirm damage, and slew to the next target, all within the time it takes the drone to cross from maximum effective range to the ship's minimum safe engagement distance. You do not get second attempts. What NAVSEA's modeling did not fully account for was the atmospheric conditions specific to the Northern Arabian Sea in late spring. Marine layer, high humidity, aerosol scattering. On 11 of the 47 days of combat operations that followed, Preble's Helios operators reported significant beam degradation. Power delivery at target reduced by an estimated 30 to 40%. 11 days when the physics stopped cooperating. Those days required fallback to kinetic systems. The ammunition counter mattered again. Going through the NAVSEA program documentation and unclassified Navy press releases from the May-June 2026 period, one detail kept coming back. The operators had no doctrine. Not outdated doctrine. No doctrine. Helios had completed developmental testing. It had completed initial operational testing. What it had never completed was anything resembling a swarm engagement protocol, because the Navy's test program used single targets and paired targets. Nobody had written the engagement sequence for 12 simultaneous inbound contacts across a 40-degree azimuth spread. Webb and his team were writing it in real time at URO 347, with 11 miles of closure happening while they worked. The outcome of the first engagement: 7 confirmed mission kills. 5 Shahed 238s survived the Helios engagement window and were taken by CIWS. Ammunition expended: significant. But the number that matters to OPNAV is the one Webb logged in his after-action report. 7 laser kills. 0 laser reloads required. The most surprising thing about the 47-day record is not the total kill count. It is the cost per engagement ratio. A CIWS round costs approximately $30. A Shahed 238 costs, by most open-source estimates, between $20,000 and $50,000. A Helios engagement costs, in terms of fuel for the ship's generators, roughly $1 per second of dwell time. 8 seconds of dwell. $8. Against a $20,000 drone. The economic calculus of drone warfare just changed. By the end of 47 days, Preble's Helios system had logged 23 confirmed mission kills against Iranian UAV assets. That number comes from cross-referencing U.S. Navy press releases, satellite imagery analysis published by CSIS, and Iranian state media claims, which reported only 13 losses, suggesting either different counting methodology or deliberate underreporting. 23 kills, 0 reloads, 11 degraded performance days. Here is the take that will generate disagreement. The Navy should have deployed Helios to 5th Fleet 18 months earlier. The technology was ready. The gap was doctrine and bureaucratic risk aversion. Surface warfare officers who would have benefited from an operational system in 2024 were instead expending kinetic ammunition against threats a laser could have handled at a fraction of the cost. That is not a criticism of the people involved. It is a criticism of the procurement timeline that treated a working system like a prototype because the test checklist was not complete. What do you think? Did the Navy move fast enough to field directed energy when the threat was already visible, or was the caution justified? The comments will tell us. The strategic implication runs deeper than one ship's ammunition log. The Navy's fiscal year 2026 unfunded priority list, submitted to Congress in March 2026, included 6 additional Helios installations across the Arleigh-Burke fleet. 6. The total Burke fleet in active service is approximately 70 hulls. That means 64 destroyers remain dependent on kinetic point defense against drone threats that have now been combat-proven in sustained operations. In any near-peer conflict involving coordinated UAV employment, the majority of the surface fleet faces engagement economics that favor the attacker. 64 ships without Helios are 64 ships burning through ammunition that cannot be replaced at sea. Will this gap close in 5 years? Comment yes or no, because the budget fight playing out in Congress right now will determine the answer. The briefing Webb gave to OPNAV staff in June 2026, confirmed by Navy Public Affairs, covered 3 findings. First, Helios performed within design parameters against single and paired targets. Second, multi-axis swarm engagements require operator protocols that do not currently exist and must be written before the next deployment cycle. Third, atmospheric degradation on 11 of 47 days is a planning factor, not a system failure, and the solution is integration with kinetic backup rather than replacement of either system. The outcome of that briefing: the Chief of Naval Operations directed an accelerated review of directed energy doctrine development, with a completion target of December 2026. That review will either produce the protocols Webb did not have at O347 on day 3, or it will produce another committee report. The difference matters for the next surface warfare officer who watches an ammunition counter drop towards 0, while radar shows 12 inbound contacts. SO 347, Northern Arabian Sea. The CIWS ammunition counter at 28%. 12 contacts, 11 miles. Lieutenant Commander Webb activated Helios. The system acquired the lead contact in 1.4 seconds. Dwell, 6 seconds. The first Shahed 238 in the wave lost its propulsion. Then the second. Webb's team slewed the beam manually. There was no automated multi-target protocol, working from instinct and engineering judgment and the physics of a 60-kilowatt beam in moderately humid air. 7 mission kills before the surviving 5 entered CIWS range. Ammunition counter at 19% after the engagement. Still operational, still at sea. Webb's log entry for that engagement is 3 sentences. Helios. Effective against multi-contact swarm. Engagement sequence improvised. Recommend doctrine development before next deployment. 23 words that now sit at the center of a 9-figure directed energy procurement argument. The Helios system works. That is no longer a test result. It is a combat record. The question is how fast the Navy can build doctrine around a capability its operators already know how to use, and whether the 64 destroyers without it will get their systems before the next blockade, the next swarm, the next officer watching an ammunition counter run out of room. Subscribe. Next week we are breaking down the full directed energy roadmap. What the Navy plans to field by 2028. What the Army's Shored laser program got right that the Navy got wrong, and why the 150 kilowatt threshold changes everything about ship defense geometry.